Is President Joe Biden, is he a racist? Is he guilty of racial discrimination? We're going to talk about that. Once again, it's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. It's been a minute since I had a chance to sit down and rap to you guys. I'm out here earning a living just like everybody else. But you see, the title of the video is President Biden? President Biden, Sleepy Joe, Uncle Joe, whatever name you want to give him. Is that guy? Is that guy guilty of racial discrimination? Is he a racist? I asked that question. I talk to and debate with right-wingers all day, every day. And the predominant belief is that Joe Biden is definitely a racist. Now, I will say that the vast majority, or better yet, the overwhelming majority of people that I hear calling President Biden a racist, they're not black. They're mostly all white. But that's a different conversation. The reason I'm asking this question, though, is because President Biden, during his campaign last year, stated that he was going to appoint a African-American female Supreme Court justice. And now that Stephen Breyer just announced that he plans on retiring this year in 2022, well, people were trying to hold him to the fire. They're asking President Biden, are you going to fulfill your campaign promise? And so that leads to the question of, is President Joe Biden guilty of racial discrimination? Now, keep in mind, his poll numbers for blacks over 50 are ridiculous. I'm talking about in the low 30s. He has some of the lowest poll numbers in presidential history, and that's including Trump and anybody else, Carter and any of the other presidents that many folks consider to have had a failed presidency. So we got a large portion of the minority community that already has said that they do not believe he's fulfilling his promises that he made to the black community, whether it's the George Floyd Act on, police reform or the college tuition stuff we're talking about, his Build Back Better. I mean, most of his programs are not passing. Now, in defense of Biden, he's trying to pass this shit, but he can't do it on his own. It's just like if you're a fan of Trump and you were a fan of the wall, well, the wall didn't get built. But that's not Trump's fault. I mean, he wanted to build a wall. You can't do it by yourself. And that's the problem that President Biden is also facing. Keep in mind, Trump wanted a complete and total ban on all Muslims entering the country because he thought that there were potential for acts of terrorism. Can't do it by himself. The Supreme Court struck him down. And that is what is happening with President Biden, including the recent striking down of his requirement that all employers with over 100 employees get vaccinated. And the Supreme Court struck that down as unconstitutional, same way they struck down Trump's complete and total ban on Muslims. But that's a different video. In this video, we're going to tackle the question, do we believe that President Joe Biden is a racist and guilty of racial discrimination? Now, I'm asking that question because he did state, I'm going to appoint the next Supreme Court judge if I get the opportunity, and I'm going to appoint them with race and sex being a determining factor in how I make my decision. Now, keep in mind, being a handsome liberal, I do see both sides of an issue, which leads me to ask, how might liberals feel? How might us blacks feel if President Trump stated that my next Supreme Court appointee is going to be a white male? Will we accuse him of being racist? Will we accuse him of being, committing an act of racial discrimination? We all fucking know the answer to that, so I'm not going to go into that. However, I will say it's no secret that America's deep-rooted history in racism also applied to the Supreme Court. I mean, we've had over 100 Supreme Court justices, and I believe, 94% of them have been white males. Now, that's not by any coincidence. I mean, obviously, any racial discrimination we're talking about here on Joe Biden, to some degree, it's been American tradition. I mean, there's the only way that something as lopsided, over 100 plus Supreme Court justices, and 94% of them have been white males. So clearly, we've been dealing in racial discrimination the whole damn time. But it's 2022, and we're tackling President Joe Biden. Do you believe that what he did is, what he's talking about doing, Betty, is an act of racial discrimination? And the reason also I'm asking that is because you don't have to be black or Hispanic or female or disabled to sue for racial discrimination. You can do that as a white male. And if there are white males that believe they're qualified for positions and they're being overlooked to appoint a black person or a woman or a disabled or a Hispanic, you have a valid lawsuit. So, just asking me, the handsome liberal, do I believe it's an act of racial discrimination? Yeah, obviously. It's a textbook definition of it. I mean, he's announced ahead of time that he's specifically looking for a particular gender and a particular female. Even in the darkest days of America, most racists never came out and admitted they were racist. If you look throughout American history, very few politicians came out and said, yeah, I'm not going to deal with such and such, or I'm never going to hire such and such. They kind of kept that under wraps. You don't see them saying it on TV. So the fact that Joe Biden said it on television, he could certainly face some lawsuits in this case. It's obvious that he was trying to be diverse. Most likely the minority communities, the female communities, are not going to find any fault with what he's did because they've been on the wrong side of that for most of America's history. But nevertheless, in accordance to the law, what he said, he's going to appoint a black female if he gets the chance. If he follows through and does that, I guess the question is, how could it not be racially discriminatory? I don't know any other answer to that. And it's not uncommon with me debating with right-wingers all the time to hear white males state that they believe currently they are the most discriminated class of people in America. So I'm going to let you guys tackle that one. What do you think? Do you think President Biden should be reprimanded or challenged for, offering to give this position to a woman of color as opposed to any other race, or even to some degree, even considering anybody else other than black women? Do you believe this is discriminatory as I'm saying it is? And I'm a liberal. I'm certainly going to most likely support liberals over other candidates. But in this case, like I often say in many of my videos, being able to see both sides of an issue, I can't, ignore that this fits the textbook definition of discrimination in my eyes. The reason I'm asking you, because potentially some of you, knowing American history, knowing that it is deeply rooted in discrimination, knowing the Supreme Court, the historic nature of it is based on discrimination anyway, maybe you don't feel as, maybe you feel kind of sympathetic to what President Biden is doing. Maybe you believe he's doing the right thing. Keep in mind, for all of the negative poll numbers and things like that Joe Biden is getting, even within the black community, he is by far the most diverse president in U.S. history. When you look at his cabinet, you look at his appointees. I mean, I talk to Trump supporters all the time that boast, well, Trump did this for blacks and that for blacks. He didn't hire them. Certainly nowhere near to the level of President Biden. When you look at his cabinet, women, gays, Muslims, Asians, the thing looks like the rainbow. Whereas when you looked at President Trump's cabinet, it looked just like the Supreme Court, the history of the Supreme Court. It was all white males. So what do you think? I'm not going to go too long on it, but I certainly wanted to ask that question because between Trump and Biden, debating with right-wingers, I'm often, going back and forth. Well, he's a racist, and he's a racist, and he's a racist. Well, here's an act. Let me know in the comments what you think, as usual. I'll respond to any and all comments. Once again, show your boy some love. The channel is still alive. Go ahead and hit that subscription button. Click on the bell. We can hash this out. And I will see you in the next video.